Season 3, Episode 5 of Mayor of Kingstown, titled Iris, is just exactly what this episode is about. It's about Iris. It took this long, 3 seasons, for an episode to just be about her. You all know this. You've seen my Season 1 reviews, you've seen my Season 2 reviews. You know I'm a fan of this show, but I'm not a fan of this character at all. She doesn't bring any dynamic, she doesn't serve a purpose. But, and yes, this is a big but, she served her purpose very well in this episode, which I'm very surprised I'm saying. Now, basically, we find out what's going on with the drugs between the Russians and what they're doing with Bunny. Bunny retaliates after what's happening with his drugs after the Russians took it, kind of poisoned it or did something with it. And Bunny has this whole arsenal of weapons. And I'm not talking about little minute weapons. I'm talking big rifle busting in your ass kind of AK-47s that Bunny doesn't hold back at all. Now, Iris, for some reason, lo and behold, she has a history with Constantine. We find that history out a little bit in this episode, and she goes to Constantine, and basically they start talking, and all of a sudden Mike comes in, and Mike's like, listen, I know what you're doing, just stay away from Bunny. And as he's there, Bunny's men light up the place, cops come, they get involved. Mike kind of tells Constantine, just lay low, don't go after Bunny, don't retaliate, because Mike basically doesn't want anything to happen or do with the problems that would arise if something did happen. Also, we see that Mike kind of tells Iris, I need you to be kind of my informant in a way. So he kind of asks Iris to find out what Constantine's doing, what's going on and everything. All the while we see Mike talking to Bunny, and Bunny's like, I had to do what I had to do. And Mike's like, no, pick up your goddamn phone once in a while. This way I know what's happening. And, Bunny didn't know Mike was there for the retaliation. And it's just an interesting concept of what's happening, what's going on. The subplot is with Kyle and his wife Tracy. We see Kyle made the SWAT team, which is really good. But then Tracy goes back to the women's correctional facility where she starts working, and it's like, what is all going on? What's happening? So they have their dynamic back and forth, and the reason they have their dynamic is because they're raising this new baby, which is, it's just them now, and it's really interesting to see how Kyle has come a long way since the first season, where he was playing not really a big character, but now he's kind of a major character along with Mike. And we see Iris go with Constantine to the boat. They'd start talking, and they kind of have this history lesson with each other about the iris, the flower, and what's going on, what's with that. Now, the character of Constantine is very dynamic in a way, but he's so laid back, snorts his cocaine and everything. Iris joins in, and they have a history, Iris and Constantine, and you can tell that Constantine trusts Iris, but is he smart enough to know that she is with Mike? Because if Constantine finds out, he's going to kill every single one of them and every single person. So there's kind of an exchange with money and drugs on Constantine's boat. Iris is there to see it. She makes it back safely to the hotel that she's staying at and calls Mike and says, listen, hey, I saw what's going on. What's this? He's like, I need you to be sure. Is it true? And she's like, yes. So we see now Iris is helping Mike and Ian in a way. Not only that, Ian has also a subplot in this as well, where he is commended for kind of having good news, where he kind of his captain calls him into the office and says, I don't know what you did with Charlie, that serial killer, but you kind of got through to him, and it's getting certain people at ease. And Ian's like, I'm just doing my job. So it's really interesting how that all is taking place. But then, I mean, for what this season 3 is, it's supposedly 10 episodes, and where's it gonna go from here? What can happen, and what's gonna happen with the Russians and Bunny? Will Constantine retaliate? Does he know what's happening with Iris? And I don't know. I don't like this character, but for some reason, this episode got it right. I guess they knew that they needed somehow to put her into this, season more. Very curious to see what's going to happen with the prison. How is Constantine working with Merle? There's so many questions that still need to be answered about season 3, where it's more gritty, it's more in your face, but you can tell Mike is losing control of Kingstown, the outside, the prison. Nobody's listening to him anymore. His brother is part of the SWAT team. He's got to worry about Iris. He's got to worry about the DA, who he is sleeping with in the, if you knew that, because they showed that in the beginning of this episode. So I'm really curious to see how it all plays out. It's going to be interesting, and I hopefully that, if this is the final season, we get a good closing. But if it's not, then we see how it all transcribes in the fourth season, if there is a fourth season, if it does get renewed. If it doesn't, I'm curious to see how it all plays out. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about Season 3, Episode 5 of Mayor of Kingstown, titled Iris. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What do you think about the aspect of this episode being her story? Do you think Constantine knows that she's worth Mike and working with Mike? Do you think that Iris will meet a untimely fate at the end of this season? Do you think she will survive? Or do you think that she is some kind of unsung hero that is keeping everything together and keeping the peace, where we think that, she's not? And do you think that the Russians and the Bunny feud will, escalate into something more? How do you see Merle playing into all of this? Do you think that he's working with Constantine in a good way? A lot of questions that still need to be answered. Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. I'll see you all in the next review video. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure you tune in next week for my Season 3, Episode 6 review of Mayor of Kingstown.